Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, everyone. Okay, so basically, tonight we are going to continue with chapter 4, conics. So we're gonna do like the third lecture for this chapter, and then this coming Tuesday we are going to do the last lecture for this chapter. Hi Dira, good to see you. Okay, so now let us go straight away to the ellipse and let us see what are the learning outcome. Okay, so the learning outcome at the end of the lesson, you should be able to. So, firstly, you should be able to determine the equation of the ellipse with center HK and foci. So, some call them as foci, but you can call them as foci as well. So, dia sebenarnya different pronunciation je, tapi tak apalah. Benda yang sama, foci ke foci. But I prefer to call it foci sebab dia macam lembut, macam nice sikit. Okay, so for psi, H plus or minus C, K, or HK plus or minus C. And then you should be able to show all the vertices for psi, major and minor axis, and then determine the center and foci of an ellipse by using completing the square method. So you need to know how to do completing the square because we want to determine the center and foci from the general equation. Oh, by the way, hi Liana, hi Aisha. Okay, so now you might be wondering what is an ellipse. So if I can say that circle is a burger, so burger tu adalah circle. Then oblong is an ellipse. Suka hati je aku bagi nama makanan. Boleh lah kan? Nampak aku kot. Okay, so circle is this one. Oops, nampak macam ellipse lah. Sekejap, padam balik. Circle. Alah, tak jadi juga. Tak apalah. So, this is an ellipse. Sekejap. Awak tak jadi bulat. Cung. Boleh lah. Okay. Sabar je. This one. Circle. This one. Ellipse. Okay, so you might be wondering like how to draw an ellipse. So before this, kalau untuk circle, I told you guys that we only have a center and then we have a radius for them. Okay. So we have a center. So this is the center and then we have a radius. So this is for the circle. Okay, so for an ellipse, the most important thing is your center and after that your foci. Okay, so why is that? Okay, so let us look at how to draw an ellipse. Okay. Okay, so how to draw an ellipse? So an ellipse can be drawn by using two pin. Okay, so if let's say you have two pin, so titik ni adalah titik untuk pin. Nampak ke titik ni? Sekejap I zoom little bit. Okay, this one over here, this is your pin. This is your pin, this is another pin. So an ellipse can be drawn by using two pin, a piece of string and a pencil. Okay, so this is the pin, the first point, and this is the second point. Okay, so where is the string? So between those two, we're gonna have a string. So this dotted line, that is actually a string. And this is your pen. Okay, so what you should do in order to draw an ellipse is that you should move your pencil. Okay, sekejap. Kecilkan sikit. Ya. Okay, so this is basically how you're gonna draw them. Can you see? Okay, so this is point A, this is point B. So we're gonna move them around. So this is how we draw an ellipse. Okay, so you might be wondering like, what is these 2 points? So those are actually your foci. So kalau kita nak draw ellipse, sebab tu kita kena ada something yang kita panggil sebagai foci, because if you want to draw an ellipse, you will need two foci. So those will be your ellipse. So basically, I just want to let you know what does it mean by a foci and why do we need them. Okay, so now let us go to the calculation. Okay, so the equation of an ellipse with center HK and foci H plus or minus C K. Okay, so this is the standard formula for an ellipse: x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square, and they must be equal to 1, definitely equal to 1. Whereas c square is actually equal to a square minus b square. Okay, so this formula is true if a is greater than b. If a is less than b, then we are using the other way around. Then it should be b square minus a square. So this is a greater than b. So that is why our c square is a square minus b square. So for this one, the major axis is parallel to the x-axis. So what does it mean? Is that this is the x-axis. So the major axis parallel to the x. So this is basically how our ellipse gonna look like. And this is also known as the horizontal ellipse. Maksudnya dia panjang dia adalah x-axis. Okay, so for the horizontal ellipse, what you need to remember is that the value for the A should be greater than the value of the B. So A correspond to X, B correspond to Y. As you can see over here, the X is much more longer compared to the Y. So that is why we're going to call them as the horizontal ellipse. So this is your center. From your center up until this point here is called an A. From the center up until the above point, so those are the value of B. So that is center. And what is this C over here? So C is actually the distance from the center until your focus or your foci. So this is your focus. So this distance over here is actually a C. Okay, X. Okay, so major axis parallel to the x-axis. So this is a horizontal ellipse. Okay, so we start with our center HK, and the distance from the center until our major vertex on the right hand side. So the distance here is actually a unit. So that is why you have to add the a to the value of x. Okay, so it's supposed to be h plus a, but we're gonna have the same value of y. So x dia akan berubah, kita akan tambah a, tapi untuk value of y, it will be the same. Okay, so same thing with the other vertex. So we have two vertex, one on the right hand side, one on the left hand side. So one of them will become a plus because we are moving to the right hand side. Another one will become a minus because we are moving to the left. So this one, this is also a unit, but the formula will become h minus a together with k. So one of them we're gonna add the a, another one we're gonna minus the a. So kita akan tolak lah jarak tu. Okay, so now the foci. Foci, the distance, like I told you before, so the distance from the center up until the foci, so this distance is actually C. So the center to the foci again, that is actually C. So if we are going to the right hand side, we will add C to the formula. So that is the reason why we are having H plus C. And then since we are going to the left hand side, this one should be H minus C. Okay, so one thing that you should take note is that all the vertex, so the first vertex, the second vertex, or you can call them as vertices. Okay, so all the vertices together with the foci, all of them are actually on the same y, the same y. The y is y equal to k. So this is h minus a k, h minus c k, h k, h plus c k, h plus a k. So semua tu atas satu nilai ataupun atas satu part cy yang sama. Okay. Now, let us refer to the formula then. Okay, so the center will be H and K. So for your vertices, you're going to have two two values. So either you add A or you minus A. So it will either be H plus A or H minus A, but you're going to have the same value of Y. So for the foci, it's going to be H plus C or H minus C. So do make sure to keep the value of Y again. So the length of the major axis. So we are talking from one vertex to another vertex. Okay, so since, okay, let me change this color. Okay, so from one vertex to the other vertex. So this is actually the length of your major axis. As you can see, from the center until your first vertex, the distance is A. From the center until the second vertex, the distance is also A. So since we have A and another A, so the length of the major axis will become 2A. The length of the minor axis, so if this one is a major, then the Y will become the minor. So it will become 2B. So the length from the center up until the top one over there, so the distance over here is actually B. The distance from the center until the lowest point over there, that is also B. So we have B plus B, which is simply 2B. Okay, so let us go to the first example. Find the center, vertices, foci, length of the major axis, minor axis of the ellipse x minus 1 square over 25 plus y square over 16 equal to 1, hence sketch the graph. Okay, so firstly, we need to determine the center. So do make sure to compare them with the standard equation that we have previously. Okay, so compare them with x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. Okay, so the right hand side is already equal to 1. So now we can directly compare. So this is x, this is also x. So this is 1, negative 1. This is negative h. So we can easily see that the h should be equal to 1. Okay, so if you compare, so this is y, this is also y. I don't see any k over here. So that means the value of k should be equal to 0. If you compare for a square, so a square should be equal to 25. Hence, the value of a should be equal to 5. So if you compare for b, so you got to see that 16 is equal to b square and b is definitely equal to 4. So the A just now is 5, B is 4, H is 1, K is 0. So H 1, K 0, A 5, B 4. Okay, so now what do we know? A is definitely greater than B. So since we know A is greater than B, this is definitely a horizontal ellipse. Okay, so now if this is an horizontal ellipse, so that means I can have my center over here. So the middle one, this is our center. Okay, so the center is simply H and K. So the center will become 1, 0. So this is 1, 0. Okay, so what about the vertices? Okay, so the length from the center up until the vertex is equal to A. So this length is A, that is also A. So we are moving either to the right hand side or to the left hand side. So I should either adding the A to the X or minus the A to the X. Okay, so the value of A is 5. So it will be 1 plus 5 or 1 minus 5. So the first vertex will be H plus AK. So it will be 1 plus 5, 0. Another one is 1 minus 5, 0. So your vertex will be 6, 0, negative 4, 0. So those are the vertex. Okay, next, they were asking for the foci. Okay, so we have the value of A, we have the value of B. In order to calculate the foci, I need to know what is the value of C. Okay, so what is the value of C? So A is bigger, therefore C square is equal to A square minus B square. So A square is equal to 25, and then I minus them with 16. So C square is actually equal to 9. Therefore, the value of C is actually equal to 3. Okay, so calculate. Okay, so now once we know the value of C, so if we go back to the definition, where is the foci? Okay, so the vertex is at the end over here. So V2, V1. So focus is somewhere along here. Sekejap. Let me change this to another color. Okay, so this is F1. Another one is F2. So the distance from the center up until the focus, so the distance is 3 or the value of C. And then the center up until the focus again, that is also C. Therefore, we should either plus C or we should minus C. Okay, so the first one, H plus C. So the value of H is 1. So 1 plus 3, 0. So it's supposed to be 4, 0. Another one is H minus C, K. So 1 minus 3, 0. So this one will become negative 2, 0. Okay, so we have the center, we have the vertex, we have the foci, and then they were asking for the length of the major and length of the minor, right? Okay, so length of the major axis. Okay, so this is our ellipse. So this is basically the major axis. Okay, so this is my center. So I know the distance from the center until the vertex, that is actually A. Center until vertex, that is also A. So the length of the major axis is actually 2 times with A. And then the value of A is actually equal to 5. So this is 2 times with 5. Therefore, this is simply equal to 10. And then they were asking for the length of the minor axis. Okay, so what is the length of the minor axis? Okay, so basically if A to A is the length of the major axis, the length of the minor axis is simply 2B, because we are calculating from the center up until the top and from the center up until the bottom. So that length is B, that length is also B. So the length of the minor is simply 2 times B, and the value of B is equal to 4. So 2 times 4 is actually equal to 8. Okay, and then of course we have to sketch them. So do make sure in your sketching, you need to include your center, your foci, as well as your vertices. So our center, our vertices, foci, foci, and then that is basically how we draw them. So do make sure to draw a horizontal ellipse, and then draw your major axis, write down your center. So the value of your center is 1, 0, and then your your vertex. Dia payah tau. I normally call them as vertices. Tiba-tiba tukar jadi vertices. Pening kepala. Okay, so this is V1, 6, 0. This is V2. So this is negative 4, 0. And then you have some foci right in the middle. So F1 and F2. So do make sure to write down the coordinate as well. And then you will need the x-axis as well as the y-axis. Okay, so that is how we sketch them. So do make sure to have the center, the vertices, the foci, and then as well as the axis. Okay, next. Okay, so write the equation of the ellipse that has vertices at negative 3, negative 5, and 7, negative 5, and foci at negative 1, negative 5, and 5, negative 5. Okay, so normally for ellipse, we have to see which value that we have as a constant. So yang ini kita dah nampak lah. The value of the y is always similar. So this is definitely a horizontal ellipse. Okay, so the vertices, so the vertex over here is 7, negative 5. The vertex on the left, this is negative 3, negative 5. And then the foci. Okay, so this is center, foci is somewhere here. So this is the foci. The foci is -1, -5. And then another foci over here, 5, -5. Okay, so what is the equation of an ellipse? So the equation is x minus a, x minus h. Sasa dah. Ting, ting, ting. Okay, so the formula is x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. So that means if we want to write down the equation of an ellipse, we have to find out what is the value of h and what is the value of k, and then we need to know what is the value of a and what is the value of b. So once we know everything, then we can write down the equation of an ellipse. Okay, so if let's say I give you a few minutes, can you tell me what is your center? And then what is your value of A? And what is your value of B? Can you tell me that? I think I'm better to give you around 2 minutes for you to try to understand the question first. So 2 minutes starting from now. Ada idea ke? How to find the center? Anyone got some idea? So you will need to calculate the center, the A, the B. Jeng, jeng, jeng. How to get the coordinate of the center? Five, -5. Midpoint formula. Oh, betul? Midpoint formula. We need to use the midpoint formula in order to get our center. Okay, so you can use the midpoint formula, or what did I do over here is that I'm using a simultaneous equation sajalah, nak buat panjang sikit. If you want to, you can use your midpoint formula because that is definitely our center. So you can find a midpoint between two vertex. So that will be your center, or you can use the formula, which is what we have earlier, h plus ak and h minus ak. Okay, so I'm going to use the formula for this. Okay, so the first vertex, I'm going to use the formula for h plus ak. So this is 7, -5. Another one is h minus ak. So the value is -3, -5. Okay, so now if you compare them, you should be able to see that the value of k is consistent. So k is -5. So h plus a is equal to 7. H minus a is equal to -3. So h plus a equal to 7, that is the first equation. H minus a equal to -3, that is my second equation. And then I want to solve them simultaneously. So 1 plus 2, so h plus with h, that one will become 2h, 2h. A minus a, so that one cancel out each other, and then 7 minus 3, it will become 5. 5, 4. So 2h is equal to 4. H will be equal to 2. Okay, and then you substitute into the first formula. So 2 plus a is equal to 7. The value of a is equal to 5. So k is equal to negative 5. So we know our center. Center. Write down the center over here. So the center is HK. So the center is simply equal to 2 and negative 5. So tambah bahagi 2 kan. 7 tolak 3 bahagi 2 memang dapat 2 lah. 4 bahagi 2. Midpoint formula, right? Okay, so now I know that the value of H is 2. I know the value of A is 5. The value of K is equal to negative 5. Okay, so now I need to know what is the value of B. So I already have the A, I have the H, I have the K, but I need to know now what is the value of B. Okay, so basically they actually give us another info where they call them as the foci. So what is so special about foci? So foci, the formula is H plus C and H minus C. So ini untuk foci lah. So we're going to use this formula in order to calculate the value of C. Sebab kita tak boleh nak cari B macam tu je, dia tak cukup info. So we have to calculate the C first. Okay, so what is the C? Okay, so H plus C is equal to 5, negative 5. H minus C is negative 1, negative 5. And actually, if you are simply taking the midpoint formula for those two foci, you're going to get your center as well. Okay, so H plus C is equal to 5. H minus C is equal to negative 1. So nanti solve, dapatkan nilai C. So C is equal to 3. Okay, so what is the formula for C square that we have earlier? C square is actually equal to A square minus B square. So if I want to find B square, then it should be A square minus C square. So A square, I already have the value of A earlier, which is the value of A is equal to 5 if I'm not mistaken. 5 already. Yep. Okay, so this is 25 then, minus with 3 square, which is 9. Therefore, the B square is equal to 16. Okay, so now the formula is x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. I already know the h, I know the k, I know the a, and I know the b already. So we're going to substitute everything inside here. So it will become x minus 2 square over 5 square plus y minus 5 square over 16 equal to 1. So we're going to simplify them a little bit. 5 square can be changed to 25 minus 5. So this one will become plus 5. So this is simply x minus 2 square over 25 plus y plus 5 square over 16 equal to 1. Oh, betul lah Aisyah. 2 negative 5. Betul lah, dapat dah center. Okay, now next. So those are the horizontal ellipse. So we do have something called the vertical ellipse. Okay, so this is the vertical ellipse, the equation of ellipse with center HK and foci HK plus or minus C. So x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. So basically we are using the same formula except that now c squared is equal to b square minus a square. So why we are using b square minus a square? So just now we have a square minus b square, right? But for this one, the value of b is actually greater than a. So why do we say the value of b is greater than a? So this is a vertical ellipse. Okay. I'm trying my best, okay. So this is B over here. This is also B. So B is actually larger than A. Bolehlah tu. Aci lah. So B is larger than A, ataupun kalau kita main getah, kita boleh tarik dia ni atas macam tu. Tarik dia. So the Y is longer compared to the X. So that means when you are calculating the C, it's supposed to be C square equal to B square minus with A square, because the value of B is larger than A. Okay, so the major axis is parallel to the Y axis, so we're going to call them as the vertical ellipse. Okay, so the sketching part. Okay, so let's say this is our center, HK. So the same formula actually. The center is always H and K. So the distance from the center going up is supposed to be the value of P. Going down, the value of that is also P. So since we are talking about either going up or going down, that means the value of P should be added to the value of Y. Sebab dia sama ada naik atas atau turun bawah. So that is the reason why we keep the value of X. So the value of X is similar for all of them. But for the Y, so the first one I have to add with P, so K plus P. Another one is K minus P. So for psi, always correspond to your major axis. So again, it's supposed to be from the center until your focus. So this is C, center until your focus, that is also C. So either K plus C or it's supposed to be K minus C. Okay, so if we are talking about the length of your major axis now is the Y, right? So it's supposed to be 2 times with B. It's no longer 2A. Sebab yang panjang sekarang adalah B. So B. So it's supposed to be 2B. The length of the minor axis, so starting from the center, going to the right hand side, so this is the value of A. Going to the right hand side, that is also A. So the length of the minor axis is simply A plus A, which is 2A. So this is your center. Parentheses, do make sure to add or subtract the B corresponding to the Y, because we are either moving upward or downward. The foci, we are either adding the C or minus with the C, because we are either moving upward or downward. Length of the major axis, so now the length will be 2 times B. The minor axis will be 2 times with A. Okay, done with that. Okay, so one thing again, I should remind you again, the value of the X will be consistent. Everything will be H. So this is a vertical ellipse. For a vertical ellipse, the value of X will be similar, or the value of X will be the same. Tak cantik lah ellipse ni. Tak apalah. Okay, so find the equation of ellipse which the center is at 3, 1 with the major axis parallel to the Y axis. Okay, so major axis parallel to the Y. How does the Y looks like? So basically the Y looks like this. So this is the Y axis. So the major axis parallel to the Y. So it's supposed to be a vertical ellipse. So vertical ellipse. Let me draw a vertical ellipse. Can I draw them very nice? Cila. Okay, so now the center. Okay. I always prefer to draw them a little bit so that I know what happened. So this is my center. 3, 1. The length of the major axis is 10 unit. What is the length of the major axis? That means from the top until the bottom. So the whole length. Nak panah pun sengit. Sabar je lah. The whole length over there is actually equal to 10 unit. And then the length of the minor, so from the right to the left, length of the minor is actually 6 unit. sketch the ellipse. So we need to find the equation of an ellipse. So perhaps you want to write down the equation first. It's supposed to be x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. Okay, so h and k correspond to your center. So since we already have our center, so I know the value of h and I know the value of k. So now we might want to ask ourselves, what is the value of A and what is the value of B? Okay, can you guys guess what is the value of A and B? Do you guys know the value of A and B? Based on my sketching. Walaupun lukisan tu macam tak berapa cantik, tapi macam based on my sketching, can you see the value of A and B? Cuba tulis. What is the value of A? And what is the value of B that you can see? A equal to 3. Okay. A equal to 3. What about B? B equal to 5. Tanya. Okay, very good. Right, so basically, how do you get the value of A and B? So actually, we are referring to the length of the major axis from here. So from the center until the top, those lengths are actually B. Going down, that is also B. So I know that 10 is actually equal to 2B. So the B is actually equal to 5. So from the center up until the right hand side, those are A. Center until the left hand side, those are A as well. So I know that 6 is actually equal to 2A. So the value of A is actually equal to 3. So the A is 3, the B is 5. So you can actually substitute the value of A inside there. So A is equal to 3, B is equal to 5. Okay, so well done. A is 3, B is 5. Very good. So untuk siapa yang betul, bolehlah tepuk kat bahu sendiri. Okay, substitute. H is 3, K is 1. So what are we going to have is x minus 3 square over 3 square, which is 9, plus y minus 1 square over 5 square is 25 equal to 1. Same with them. Very good. Okay, so now we already have the equation of the ellipse. Okay, so let me give you around 2 minutes for you to try to sketch your ellipse. Okay, so do make sure in your sketching, you will need to have your center, your vertices, as well as your foci. 2 minutes cukup ke? Korang guna pembaris kan? Nanti mesti lama sikit. Tak apalah, saya bagi tempoh 3 minit lah. Sampai 9:42 PM. Try to sketch your ellipse. It will definitely looks like this, you know, a vertical ellipse. Jangan jadi horizontal pula tau, mesti kena vertical tau. So I'll give you a few minutes for you to sketch them. Cubalah, kalau tak cuba tak tahu. Oh, by the way, you haven't have your foci yet, right? So that means you will need to find out your foci. Foci, foci. Boleh lah. Okay, dah 9.42 dah. Dah berjaya dah ke lukis? Okay, so I'm sure you will need to know your foci first, right? Okay, so let us calculate your foci first. Okay. Right, so this is your calculation. So 2b equal to 10, b equal to 5, 2a equal to 6, a equal to 3. Okay, so this is the equation that we have previously. Okay, so we need to know what is the value of c because we have to draw our foci as well for the sketching. Okay, so the value of the c, that is supposed to be b square minus with a square. So b square is 25, a square is equal to 9. Okay, so this is basically your vertex. So k plus p, 1 plus with 5, 3, 6. And then another one is 3, negative 4. So one of them will be plus with p, another one will be minus with p. Okay, so to know your foci, okay, so c square is equal to 16, which means that c will be equal to 4. So for the coordinate of your foci, it will be h, k plus c, and then h, k minus c. Okay, so 3, 1 plus 4, another one, 3, 1 minus 4. So the first foci is 3, 5, another foci is 3, negative 3. Okay, so once you have your vertex, your center, as well as your focus, then that means you can easily draw them. Okay. If I can give you some tips, for me, I always prefer to start with my shape first. So if I do know that they are a vertical ellipse, then I prefer to draw a vertical ellipse first. So this is basically how I start with my sketching. Once I draw a vertical ellipse, then I draw a major axis for them, just to make sure that I align all those things on one line. Sebab dia kena align semua vertices dengan foci tu atas satu line. Okay, so this is my center. So do write down your center, 3, 1. So this is center. And then your vertex up here. So the first vertex, V1. So this is 3, 6. So we are going up. So the positive value, 3, 6. Okay, so move down. So this is V2, 3, negative 4. And then your focus, it should be between the center and the the vertex. That will be one focus somewhere between the center until the vertex. So this is F1. So this is 3, 5. And then another one, F2. So this is 3, negative 3. Okay, after that, you just need to write down or you just need to sketch where is the x-axis as well as the y-axis. Okay, so for the x-axis, find out where is the y equal to 0. For the y-axis, find out when is x equal to 0. So berdasarkan nilai untuk y tu, tengoklah y sama dengan kosong dekat mana. So dekat sini lah. So this is your x-axis. For the y-axis, so we have to be extra careful because you have your center over here. So kita kena tengoklah sama ada kita punya nilai y-axis tu kena rapat dengan ellipse ke bukan. So we must check what is the value of your a. So the value of a here, so a square is equal to 9. A is actually equal to 3. So I know the distance from this point until the center is 3. So this point is 0, 1. So the value of x is equal to 0. So I need to draw a y-axis over there. So something like that. Dia kiranya dia sentuh lah dengan y-axis tu. Sekejap kita lukis kasih cantik sikit. Okay. So this is basically how the graph looks like. Kalau yang cantik sikit lah. Oops. Okay. So this one, they must touch over here because the distance from this minor axis up until here, the distance is actually 3. So they must touch the y-axis. So that means for sketching, you have to be very careful. Even for the minor axis, you need to consider them as well. Sebab kita nak tahu dia melekap ke tak dengan axis tu. Okay, let us go to the next one. Determine the equation of ellipse with vertex 8, 5. Length of the minor axis is 4. And the center is at 8, 1. So do check. The value of the x is similar. So I do know that this is definitely a vertical ellipse. Definitely a vertical ellipse because we have the same value of x. Okay, so draw your vertical ellipse. Dah macam kacang dah aku tengok lama-lama. Okay, tak apalah. Whatever. I think I need to buy yang ruler yang ada ellipse tu lah. Makin lama makin horror aku rasa. Okay, the center. My center is actually at 8, 1. So that is my center. The vertex is at 8, 5. Can you guess, is it upward or is it downward? Yep, it's supposed to be up. So this vertex is 8, 5. The length of the minor, so that means along here, this is actually equal to 4 unit. Okay, so the equation of the ellipse is x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. So we need to know the value of h, the value of k, the value of a, the value of b. Okay, so they already give us what is the center. So that means I do know what is the value of h and k. So the h will become 8, the k will become 1. But what about the value of a and b? Do we know the value of a and b? Can you find out what is the value of a and what is the value of b? So I'll give you around another 2 minutes for you to calculate what is a and what is b. Sementara tu bagi saya practice je lah. Macam mana nak lukis ellipse tu bagi cantik sikit. Saya nak lukis bagi cantik lah. Horror. Sampai 9.52 Cubalah cari nilai A berapa, nilai B berapa. Sementara tu, jap. Saya nak lukis ellipse bagi cantik sikit. Bukan. Dia tak ada shape ke? Tak ada Tak buka ellipse. Seterusnya lah. Kenapa macam sengit Circle. Give up. Apa? A to B4. Okay, so basically, your answer is correct. Okay, so how do you get the value of A? Okay, so we do know that the length of the minor axis is equal to 4. So the length of the minor axis is actually 2A. So 2A is equal to 4. So the value of A is actually equal to 2. What is B? B is actually the distance starting from the center up until our vertex. So the distance from 1 to go to 5 is simply 4 unit. So that is how we know that the value of B is supposed to be equal to 4. Okay, so let me show you the working. Okay, so H is 8, K is 1. So the vertex H is K plus B. So we have 8 and 5. So we know that K plus B is equal to 5. Therefore, the B is actually equal to 4. And then this is actually the length of the minor axis. So this is length of minor. So length of the minor axis to A is equal to 4. A will be equal to 2. Okay, so that means x minus 8 square over 2 square plus y minus 1 square over 4 square is equal to 1. So x minus 8 square over 4 plus y minus 1 square over 16 equal to 1 is actually the equation of the ellipse. So dia ada minta sketching tak? No. It simply asks us to determine the equation of ellipse. So this is fine. So this is already the final answer. Let us go to the last one. Determine the center and foci of an ellipse by completing the square. So now we're going to revise a little bit. How are we going to do completing the square? So this is the last example. Okay, so sketch the graph of the equation 16x squared plus 9y squared plus 64x minus 18y minus 71 equal to 0. Okay, in order to sketch the graph, I need to know the standard equation of the ellipse first because I need to know which one is longer. Is it the y or the x is longer? So I need to make sure I do computing the square. So before that, I need to rearrange a little bit. So the x square will be with x, the y square will be with y. Okay, so rearrange a little bit. So we are going to get 16x squared plus 64x plus 9y squared minus 18y minus 71 equal to 0. So before you start with completing the square, if you have any constant in front of the x square, do make sure to factorize that number for both the x square as well as the x. Okay, so since the coefficient of the x square is not equal to 1, you got to make sure you factorize this number out first for both the x square and the x. Okay, so for the y square, the coefficient of the y square is again not equal to 1. Therefore, for both the y square and the y, I have to factorize out the 9. Okay, so factorize 16, factorize the 9. And then we're going to do completing the square. So do you guys remember how to do completing the square? It's supposed to be bracket square minus bracket square. Okay, so inside here we have x square. So this one will be x. Take the positive 4, you divide them by 2. So this is positive 2. Copy down everything. So it's supposed to be 2 as well. So y, this one will be y. Take negative 2, divide them by 2. So it's supposed to be negative 1. Copy down negative 1. So it will become negative 1 square minus with 71 equal to 0. Okay, so now we're going to expand that. So 16 will be times with x plus 2 square and 16 will be times with negative 2 square. So what are you going to get is 16 x plus 2 square minus 64 plus, so 9 will be times with y minus 1 square, so 9y minus 1 square. 9 will be times with negative 1 square, so we got negative 9, negative 71 equal to 0. Okay, so in order to have them in the standard form, we got to make sure that all the constant need to go to the right hand side. So bring all the constant to the right hand side. So you are going to have 16 x plus 2 square plus 9 y minus 1 square equal to 144. Okay, so do you remember the formula is supposed to be x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. So on the right hand side, the value is definitely need to be equal to 1. But now I'm having something with 144. So that means we should divide everything with 144. So divide everything with 144. We are going to get x plus 2 square over 9 plus y minus 1 square over 16 equal to 1. So now based on the value of A and B, we should check whether is this a horizontal ellipse or is this a vertical ellipse. Okay, so the value of A, if you compare, so A is actually equal to 3. The value of the B is actually equal to 4. So B is larger than A, right? If B is larger than A, it will be a vertical ellipse. So kena lukis yang panjang macam tadi tu lah. Vertical. Dia kena bujur tau. Saya punya dia nampak macam square. Saya tak tahu kenapa. Tak berseni kot tangan. Sabarlah. Okay, so basically, the center will be negative 2 and 1. So this is your center. Do make sure to calculate what is your vertex, your vertices, because you have 2 vertex, as well as your foci. So in order to calculate your foci, you will need to know what is the value of C. So from the B and the A, calculate what is the value of C because you need them to calculate your foci. Okay, so the H is -2, the K is equal to 1, the A is 3, the B is equal to 4. So I simply compare them. So B is greater than A. Okay, so we know that this is definitely a vertical ellipse. Okay, so the center will be -2, 1. The vertex, it will be H, K plus B. So we're going to add the B for the up vertex. And then another vertex, we're going to minus the B, the upper vertex, the below vertex, up. Dah. Okay, so adding the B, it will become -2, 1 plus 4, so -2, 5. Another one is K minus B, so 1 minus 4, so it will become -2, -3. And then of course you need to know what is the value of your foci. So calculating the C, so C is actually equal to B square minus with A square. So it's supposed to be 4 square minus with 3 square, so 16 minus 9, which is actually equal to 7. Therefore, this is C square, C square equal to 7. So C will be equal to square root of 7. So now we're going to use almost the similar formula, except that now we are having with something with K plus C and K minus C. So FHK plus C, so it will be -2, 1 plus 7. Another one is -2, 1 minus 7. So once you have your vertex, you already have your center, you already have your focus or your foci. So now you can easily sketch them. Okay, so write down your center, your vertex, and then your foci, and you can easily draw them. Okay, so that is the sketching part. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, that is already the last question. Let me check if we do have any other question. No, that's the last one. We don't have any other question. Okay, so with that, I conclude today's lesson. So we only learned about ellipse today. So if we are talking about the formula is x minus h square over a square plus y minus k square over b square equal to 1. And basically, you can have two types of ellipse, either a vertical ellipse or a horizontal ellipse. So it actually depends, either b greater than a or a greater than b. And then the formula, if b is greater than a, then that means the vertex, you keep adding b. So it's supposed to be h k plus b, h k minus b. If A is bigger than B, then it's supposed to be H plus A, K, H minus A, B. H minus A, K. Lama-lama banyak sangat huruf pening kepala. Okay, so now I think that's all. So I'll see you guys this coming Tuesday. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Sleep tight, sweet dream. Bye-bye.